Hello everyone, and welcome to Lord Pod Gaming, and I'm honored that y'all are joining me for the review of the fully released Loan Shark. This review, however, is more than just that, as I was also blessed with an interview with the creators Luca and Nicola of Studio Corrada, making this a very special game review for me.
But this one here, this one takes the cake.
As y'all know, I was first contacted by Studio Corrada when they developed a proof of concept game called Dark Reality, which I did a review for and can be found in the Free Games That Deserve Attention playlist on the channel. When you get done here, I encourage you Golden Wonders to check out that review.
Do it! Do it!
But I'm getting ahead of myself here. First, I humbly ask that you like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already, as it would totally help the channel gain some traction.
Totally?
Totally.
Plus, sign my guest book, which is my clever way of saying leave a comment in the comment section. Signing the guest book will appease the YouTube algorithm god, and perhaps shine their favor upon me. Ring my bell for notifications, so you can stay up to date on my latest videos as well. Okay, I made my sales pitch, and that's all I've got to say.
That's all I had to say about that.
Without further ado, let's get on with the review and interview for Loan Shark. As mentioned before, I was first introduced to Nicola, Luca, and Rumpelstiltskin of Studio Corrada when they asked me to review their game Dark Reality. But I personally don't see this as a working relationship of mutual benefit. No, I see them as good friends who gave a small channel like mine a chance to review something special that they've created. Game creation is like any other form of artistic expression, and for them to entrust their art with me, well, I can't thank them enough.
I promised myself I wouldn't cry.
Once again, though, I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll talk more about Studio Corrada in a bit.
Hold your horses.
As I had some questions about the fate of Dark Reality. For all intents and purposes, Dark Reality was more of a proof of concept and not so much as a full-fledged game. Yet it does have a definitive beginning and ending. And even now, I encourage you Golden Wonders out there to try it. I'll leave a link for its itch.io page in the description. I digress though, as the interview wasn't really about Dark Reality, but about the conception of Studio Corrada and their newest endeavor, Loan Shark. I did inquire, albeit briefly, about the fate of Dark Reality, and this is what they had to say.
Thank you for having us. It's a pleasure. This is our first English interview.
Yep.
We have another one scheduled for next week, but we're very happy that you are the first. So it's a pleasure to be here.
You can go ahead.
Yeah, and it's kind of my, it's my baby, even though it became a mutual condivision of parenthood when it comes to Dark Reality. When we didn't move forward with the production because from the beginning, even though we really loved the setting, the characters, and the idea behind it, the intention behind Dark Reality was twofold. On one side, to test our collaboration and to see if Nicola and I could work together efficiently. Well, we came from I would say impactful working experience, so we wanted to test out if we could create a safe and enjoyable space for us to work in. And that was the first goal of Dark Reality, and it accomplished that because it took 3 months. It was engaging, funny. We had incredible conversation. We really we got back to enjoying making video games thanks to Dark Reality, and we realized that we wanted to make them together as a work, as a main job. The second goal was to make a demo and see how the public would respond to that. And, we really love the fact that people like you, like other channels who covered it, um, appreciated the game and expressed in high praise for it. And we think it has a lot of great things. We're very proud of it because we managed to pull it off, even though we had really a little more than 3 months to make it. But it wasn't an itch.io hit, so we didn't really find reasons to move forward with the development. Also because we realized that it was significantly overscoped for us, given our current level of skills and the kind of time that we could dedicate to it. I don't want to, bore you and the audience with production details, but basically it was a music-heavy, visual-heavy game. In order to reach its full potential, we would needed Rapper Skin full time for us, and we would also need a composer to give the funk side of the game some love and some deepness, some depth. Sorry. Plus, it was an RPG, and RPG are very costly to do and take a long time. So we we couldn't afford it basically. And since we realized that there weren't so many people interested into playing the demo. We had a reasonable result. We had like 100, a little more than 100 downloads, which is better than we expected. And that's why we then moved forward with another game. But also it couldn't justify the effort, both financial and working effort, to move forward with the game. So we just freezed it. And personally, I don't know if Nicola shared this fetish of mine. I really hope to come back to Dark Reality in a distant future when we can afford to make it the great game that we know it can be. I don't know if Nicola, you want to add something.
No, I completely agree. Like Dark Reality deserves a team that can make it, and I don't think we're there right now. I think we're just trying to establish ourselves and make smaller games. Dark Reality needs a couple of years of work to really shine. So maybe when we are capable of doing that, I will definitely love to get back into that. Like one of our goals is to make that kind of huge, medium-sized RPG with a lot of mechanics and characters and interlocking parts. So Dark Reality is that kind of game. Maybe in the future I'd love to get back to it.
Again, I don't want to harp on Dark Reality and its fate too much. However, because I enjoyed it so much and believe in Studio Kurata and what they do, I did had to ask if and when Dark Reality would make a comeback.
Inquiring minds want to know.
And as y'all heard, it is something that they are very interested in returning to. So before closing out this section of the video, I implore you Golden Wonders out there to go check out Dark Reality. If we as gamers can build enough hype around it, then it can and will become a worthy project. Link for its itch.io page is in the bio. And if any of you are curious about it before playing, you can find my review for Dark Reality on my channel in the Free Games That Deserve Attention playlist. There's a little bit of redundancy for y'all, but it was important to reiterate. Studio Kurata is, as of now, a three-man operation made of Nicola Dow, Luca Foligno, and Rumpelstiltskin, who are based out of Italy. When I first met them, they hadn't become the aforementioned Studio Kurata yet, but after achieving more success than they expected with Dark Reality, they have officially launched under the moniker of Studio Kurata, which to my understanding means carrot in Italian, and has a similar reason for its inception as one of the greatest shows on Adult Swim, Robot Chicken. If you've never seen the show Robot Chicken and or know about why it's named that,
Check out the big brain on bread.
I could sit here and explain why they chose the name Kurata and tell you Golden Wonders these amazing guys' backstory, but I wouldn't do it any justice. Instead, Why don't we listen to what they had to say?
Please, Nicola, I started first, so.
Absolutely.
Rock,
So,
paper, shoot.
Before we met, I personally have a background in game design. So I graduated in a game design degree in Scotland after moving there from Italy, specifically for that reason. And then I came back to work in Italy and for a AA studio that made a cozy indie game. And that's where we met, actually. I don't know, Luca, if you want to go into your own personal background later, I can leave you the word. We met working for this AA indie cozy studio, and we worked there for 2.5 years, more or less. We strengthened our friendship by basically taking the bus together every single day because we actually live very close to each other, and we found that out like I think 3 or 4 months after
Yeah.
we started working together.
It was
We learned,
February, and I started
yeah,
in November, and then one night we come back, and I took the 71 because I was like, yeah, we can share a little bit of the road, so we can go on chatting. And then Nicola gets off the bus, and I say, but what are you doing here? And he goes, I live here, but I lived on the next road, and so we met.
exactly. We found that. So basically, we organized like our morning commute together every single time, and that's basically our friendship strengthened. After 2.5 years working there, we found ourselves without a job, and Luca was with like Luca. What's the word for leaving your job?
Yeah, I quit on my own
Luca quit
because
his job. Exactly. Thank you. For a couple of months before me, so he started working on Dark Reality on his own, like developing the characters, developing the story. And then when I also found myself without a job, I think it was like the same exact day we met each other. I said, like this is the situation now. Why shouldn't we try and make this together? I originally just wanted to help him with the code, but then as soon as we started working with each other, very quickly we realized that we were vibing very well with like the way we approach making games. And right now the point is that I think what makes us vibe very well together is that we enjoy like finding unique perspectives and subverting expectations and genres. Maybe finding something that's popular, like the dark fantasy aesthetic and the RPG aesthetic, and like injecting it with something that's unexpected, like funk, for example. So we made Dark Reality in 3 months. We liked working with each other very much. At first, we didn't have a name. We had to choose one because if we wanted to, basically appear to the public and market our games to people, we had to pick one. We actually picked like the first or second option that came to us very quickly. It's not a name that we gave a lot of thought to. It's just carrots are a vegetable that we both like very much, and I like it because it just gives it a sense of playfulness and lightheartedness that I really like having in game development. We might change it later. It's supposed to be a temporary name. Let's see if it actually ends up sticking or if we do end up changing it.
I don't know, man.
Exactly. So yeah, we started working on Dark Reality. We made Dark Reality in 3 months. We released it, and we realized, okay, making this was very cool. Obviously, we started with a weird like first steps because of all the evolution that came in our lives over that period of time. So we decided to try again and basically gave ourselves this year to try and make it in indie game development basically. So we made a plan for ourselves to make 3 games in 2025 and try and make at least one that could justify ourselves pursuing this dream further. Lone Shark is the first. and it went very well. It went way, way, way better than we expected. We actually expected to make fucking £100 or $100 from it. But we were very lucky. It was kind of a gift, so it justifies continuing at least for another for some more time. Let's say we're still working on new games, but we are spending a little bit more time on that on Loan Shark now, just to try and polish things up, see if we can get something more going on, like a new update, new endings and stuff like that, so we can really deliver the best experience possible. Because something that I want to say about the game is that we started with the plan of just making a simple horror game that we could finish in a single month or two, like that we wouldn't be stressing ourselves too much over. So there are things in that game that started clicking and working very well, but that we think can even become better if we spend a little more time in it. For example, as you mentioned, there aren't multiple endings actually, because we didn't give ourselves the time to make them, which is something that we want to expand upon with new updates. So yeah, this is where we're at. Our first game actually went fairly well, or well enough to justify, pursuing this further. Now it's all about managing to see if we are capable of. I mean, even like repeating half of what Loan Shark has made would be a dream. Like that basically means we are capable of living this way for the rest of our lives, game after game. So yeah, like that's where we're at. I think that's all. I don't know, Luca, if you want to add anything.
Well, yeah, for my background, I have a little, I come from a little different position compared to Nicola, because Nicola, I think you've been making, we were chatting on our Discord, maybe you saw Pog a couple of days ago with one of our users about, he asked about our backgrounds. I think, Nicola, you've been making games for like 10 years plus. Okay.
Yep.
So compared to Nicola, I am a relatively new to game dev, because I started taking a serious interest in it like 4 or 5 years ago, when I was still attending university. I studied media, and one of the media I studied was video games, and that was the way I got into game design. Before, and for a large part of my life, I've been interested in writing, in storytelling in general. Before turning my attention to video game, I wrote mostly prose and comic books. Then I realized that making comic books in Italy for a living as a writer is not really something. I don't think it exists to a
So you
degree.
chose games.
So I chose games, and I made an equally disastrous mistake, because there isn't a game industry in Italy, as you may find out by spending a couple of years in it. There isn't. So there are like 5 studios, and are spread across the entire peninsula. So if you want to have a job and pay your mortgage, you must be okay to today I will be North Italy, tomorrow I will be South Italy, and so it's not really sustainable. Anyway, after leaving comics, I focused on game design. I attended 1 year of a focused private course. It wasn't really too interesting of an experience, but after that I made it to the studio, to the AA studio where Nicola and I met, and there basically I learned the big stuff and started making games, and now here I am working with these fine gentlemen.
It's been an amazing journey for these guys to get to where they are now. And personally, I found it refreshing to speak with a couple of guys who are so humble. While speaking with them, they were both very polite and considerate, not just with me, but with each other. We are living in a world right now where game studios are all competing to pump out the next big game, which in turn creates these larger-than-life egos. In a time of missed deadlines and unfinished games that are slapped on the shelves as if to say, here you go, peasants.
Bloody peasant! Oh, what a giveaway. Did you hear that?
Studio Karada are working hard at updating Loan Shark and adding new, exciting elements to it. Things like more endings, better replay value, as opposed to glitchy, near almost unplayable messes. Then have the audacity to act as if we should be thankful we got anything at all.
Don't piss down my back and tell me it's raining.
No, I'd say that Studio Karada are the ones who are thankful for us, the audience. We came together and showed them that we enjoy their art. And to show us their appreciation, they are hard at work not only to amp up Loan Shark,
These go to 11.
but are also hard at work to bring us more great games. So I personally want to say thank you, Luca, Nicola, and Rumpelstiltskin, for all that you fellas do. I'm going to save my final thoughts on Loan Shark for the review section of this video. Yet what I will say now is that I highly enjoyed it. It's a fun, suspenseful, dark folk fairy tale that I have found highly relatable with an undertone rich of Studio Karada's heritage. Now, some of you Golden Wonders out there might be asking, but why a folk horror / suspenseful fairy tale?
Oh, well, allow me to retort.
For me, it's a fresh take on the genre, something I myself haven't seen done a whole lot. For those of you out there who aren't familiar with Loan Shark, it's a story about a fisherman who is running out of time. The whole of it is a fishing game, but with many twists. Now, there are other horror fishing simulation style games out there, sure, but where Loan Shark sets itself apart is it's a story and style. It's such a unique take on the genre, and its backstory is a fascinating one. When I asked Luca and Nicola about where they got the idea for Loan Shark, this is what they had to say. Just listen.
I would add, I think I was thinking, Nicola, about the inspirations for Loan Shark.
Yeah.
I will start the conversation by saying that our first inspiration was ourselves, because the game is all about the journey of the fisherman played by the player, is all about building their dreams and spending everything they have, both financially and humanly, on it, and failing. It is a dark game with a dark ending, and we poured a lot of how we felt in it. It was like, I like to say that it turned out to be a cautionary tale directed to ourselves, because the fisherman trying to make it out as an independent fisherman, there is a lot of us trying to make it out as independent game developers, becoming free from bad from prejudices and from fears and from simply bad people like Caseoh the fish. So we really looked into ourselves to make Loan Shark, but that's not the only inspiration. I don't know, Nicola, if you want to add a little on this.
There's plenty. The way I've come to think about Luca and I is that Luca is like the literary inspiration person, like the serious inspiration person. So he looks at movies and books and like history and such, while I look at TikToks, basically. So when it comes to my inspiration in stuff like developing Loan Shark, I look at thalassophobia videos, stuff like that. There's a lot of inspirations in Loan Shark from a lot of different places. So the main inspiration is a little fairy tale called The Golden Fish that Rumpelstiltskin actually suggested to us, because the game first started as a Lovecraftian tale. Actually, not a Lovecraftian, an Edgar Allan Poe tale. Which was it, Luca? I can't remember the name right now, because I only remember the Italian one.
Yeah, Arthur Gordon Pym, the account of Arthur Gordon Pym. The ending where there is this white figure, and the novel closes on the protagonist facing this white. You really don't understand what it is, like a god, a person, an entity. It's really unclear. And then we really took inspiration from a comic book by Alan Moore and Kevin O'Neill, which is called Nemo, Heart of Ice, which is inspired in its own terms, in its own right, by the novel from Poe. So that was the original like form. We wanted this story about this fisherman who gets caught with magical beings, and at the end he sees the white figure from both the comic and the novel, and the game closes on that with a nice, good old jump scare. But it was a completely different game, as Nicola will
Exactly.
explain.
Yeah.
Because then, like, Rumpelstiltskin came to us and basically saw this connection between the talking fish and this fairy tale called the Golden Fish, I think in English, where a magical fish basically promises a fisherman or grants a fisherman every wish he has, until this fisherman is by different means consumed by greed. So the way we evolved that is, let's make this fisherman an indebted worker or like entrepreneur, and let's make this revolve around the mechanics of debt. So you don't want more because you're greedy. You want more because you need more to start an activity, because you need to invest everything you can into what you want to make. So yeah, I think that's the inspiration number one. I don't know, Luca, if you want to add more.
Well, I would say that Nicola is really being too humble, because the greatness of the game, if there is any, of course, comes out, I believe, from this mix and match of different elements. So our personal experiences, our literary influences, and then the subculture of TikTok and Instagram thalassophobia themed shorts, which is funny because Nicola brought that up like in the last month of production to give you a sense of how quickly and permanently the game kept changing. I mean, there was no idea of having an actual giant. I will spoil this for the audience, but the giant blue man in the ocean you see in the trailer, and you will see in the game if you haven't played it already. That kind of really impressive and iconic imagery didn't come in the game until the last month, because Nicola saw a lot of these thalassophobia videos and was like, let's try at it. The playtesters loved it, and we kept it.
Lots of thought and hard work went into Loan Shark. So much of Nicola, Luca, and Rumpelstiltskin's creativity and their own personal journey is on display, even when it comes to their personal relationship with AAA game companies. I've made it no secret on the channel my level of disappointment with the major studios as of late, going as far as to openly bash them at times for their pandering with titles like Assassin's Creed's Shadows. Yet Studio Kurata actually surprised me with their level of humility when it comes to these studios. In regards to the bigger studios and how they've influenced them, they had this to say.
Yeah, I would add one last influence. You were talking about AAA games, POG, and the AAA gaming industry, where we've really been in a space as a developers in the last couple of years, where there is just layoffs all around in the industry. So, workers' rights are a big thing for us, both as indie dev and as former industry devs, because we live in a very particular economic transitional phase. So I think it's relevant to talk about working conditions and jobs and workers' rights and desperation and hopelessness. I say this I mentioned this, I didn't mention it in the first interview because it's something that I really realized only recently by looking at all the reviews. Nicola is like the official updater of Studio Carota because every morning he sends us like a short presentation of how the game performed the former day, and he sends us to me and Perstirskin all the most interesting reviews from both Steam and social media. So we have this flow of information, and a lot of people resonated with the themes of working conditions and of working rights, and because it's something that is very relevant in our Western society nowadays, we think. And so we're really happy that we touched a chord that resonated with people. That's all I would say.
Even their past experiences with the larger studios influenced Loan Shark. And since I've never been in that situation, I personally can't speak on it from experience. However, both Luca and Nicola can, and while it didn't seem like the most ideal environment, it struck a chord with the audience. What I find heartwarming about this explanation is, instead of either of them going on a rant about it, they chose to be very respectful and talk about the struggles that come with game development and their concerns for their fellow developers and their fellow man. That is extremely classy in my mind, and just goes to show how focused Studio Carota truly is. Indie development can be a long road to walk, full of twisting roads, low valleys, dark forests, and uphill climbs. Yet Loan Shark has made quite a splash in the indie scene. No pun intended.
You liar!
Okay, maybe a little pun was intended there. In all seriousness though, Loan Shark has proven to be more of a success than Studio Carota could have imagined. Right now on Steam, it's sitting at a very positive review rating, which is highly respectable, with one review saying, "As someone with a rather deep case of thalassophobia and a love of horror, this game was a gem to come across, and I would 100% recommend." This is high praise indeed, since as stated before, Studio Carota did a lot of research into thalassophobia as inspiration for Loan Shark. You did it, fellas. You managed to take a phobia and scare the shit.
Watch your profanity.
Scare the dickens out of someone with it. Great job, guys. On top of such high praise on Steam, very notable creators in the gaming media have had good things to say about Loan Shark. Twitch streamer Caseoh, who clapped his hands in ovation saying it was a really good several times.
2.
YouTube gamer Manly Badass Hero, who said he had played games like Loan Shark before, but Loan Shark was a fun, creative way of doing it, and that he enjoyed it. I'll leave a link to both videos of Caseoh and Manly Badass Hero playing Loan Shark in the description below, in case anyone is interested in watching their full take on the game. Also, I don't want to get accused of plagiarism, or striked for mentioning them. Please y'all, don't smite my channel. Compared to y'all, I'm a baby back bit.
Nobody says the B word. Come on.
With all this success, I had to ask Luca and Nicola how they are dealing with it all, especially since it's considerably more than they expected. They were very humble and funny with their response.
There's a lot of complicated feelings. I don't know, Luca, if you want to start.
Can I say a little, I don't know, how family friendly is your channel, Pog? I don't know if I can say something a little.
You could say whatever you want. You could say words.
I'm scared as shit. I'm really scared as shit because making a second game, a follow-up after Loan Shark. I mean, I'm really zen in these days when I work because the new game is coming up really well. We're really proud of it, so it's really enjoyable to work at it. I would say more enjoyable than it used to be working on Loan Shark. But man, am I scared as shit because I don't know. I think we're making a better game, but I don't know what the audience will think. Will the players like it? I don't know. I'm racing for the worst. Actually, I'm racing for like 100 copies sold. That's all that I'm going to say. Please, Nicola, elaborate.
There's a lot of disbelief, certainly, because we wouldn't. It's not like we couldn't expect that you could gain such traction and attention, because obviously we wouldn't be doing this if we didn't, if a part of us didn't believe that there's a very small percentage that your game could potentially like appease a lot of people, or please a lot of people. Sorry. It definitely, the best part of this has been getting to the end of a lot of streams and YouTube videos and seeing people like expressing words of appreciation for the game. That's an amazing feeling. Like I think that's the best thing I've felt since we started doing this. Just seeing people say, "This is a cool game," and you're like, "What? Okay, if you say so, brother." uh, so that's been amazing, and I think that's what's made it work so far, because we didn't spend a cent on marketing, right? We didn't pay like publishers or marketing companies. We didn't spend money on like paid coverage. And I think what has made it be so like such what has made it into such a success are those words of appreciation that people have spent at the end of their or like of their playthroughs. I've seen a lot of people played it because their viewers were recommending the game to them. People like Caseoh, played it because people wanted to watch him playing the game. And if the game managed to do that, that must mean there's something right with the game itself. There's something that resonates with people. There's something that clicks with people, and that has been an amazing feeling. Like knowing that you made something that people can like understand and appreciate, and it's its own thing now, and it goes, yeah, it's greater than us, because like people understand Loan Shark in a lot of different ways now, and it's like its own thing that's doing its own stuff, and that's a very cool feeling. There's the understanding that this doesn't mean, so the fact that Loan Shark went so well doesn't mean that the next game will go as well. It might even be a better game, might be a worse game, of course, but even if it's a better game, maybe it doesn't have the same memetic factor that allows it to be such a shareable experience, for example, because sometimes that just happens. I've seen, like, I follow a lot of game dev YouTubers, and I watch a lot of game dev YouTube, and I have seen people make games that are covered by huge streamers like Caseoh, and they make a lot of money, and they are a huge hit, and then they don't manage to follow up, because maybe they spend an extra year or two working on the next one, and the next one doesn't go as well as they planned, and then they have to like basically apply for a job, because it's very hard consistently delivering an experience that basically performs as well as Loan Shark. So that's what we're actually very worried about, and I think that these kind of themes might creep into our next game as well. The like the idea of being watched now. Like we are being observed. We thought we would have had a couple more games like in the dark, be like to hone our skills and to just experiment a bit more. But now there's like these we feel a bit of pressure. I mean, obviously, like I'm suffering from success. Poor me, hoo. Exactly. Like this is not really an issue. Like Loan Shark is a gift, and thankfully we can go into our next games with a light, like an heavy weight that has been lifted off our chest, because we bought ourselves some more time. Basically, we bought ourselves an extra year of freedom thanks to Loan Shark. Even though, like, after all, like, percentages and expenses and and taxes and stuff has been taken off, the amount of money that's left to you is not that much. So you really need to actually make something that is as good or that performs as well in the near future to continue making this. So the bet right now is, okay, is Loan Shark a black goose or a black swan? Sorry. Or are we able to make it happen again? That's our question. Can we, in the next, like, I think we have, if we spend 3 to 4 months on each game, we have another 3 to 4 games, and one of those 3 to 4 games needs to, basically have the same effect. So that's where we're at. We're asking ourselves that. I don't know, Luca, if you want to add something.
No, it was a very detailed and a very detailed account, and I agree completely. I just want to say that the best reactions actually came from Rumpelstiltskin. We talked a little bit about him. It's our artist. We talked a little about him before starting this recording. I just want to say that the man has this very calm attitude. He's incredibly low. He's low. He speaks very low. He's very slow and speaks. He's one of those rare person that is able to distribute and share its inner peace with other people. But when it comes to the success of Loan Shark, man, we have our studio chat on Telegram, and hasn't he said the worst things about everything in terms of our competitors, the milestones we reached, the records we broke?
Yeah, he's going insane.
The man is unchained when it comes to reacting to Loan Shark. Unfortunately, we can't share those chats online because we would have a lot of problems for a variety of reasons. But I just want to say that it's been incredible to see our teammate react in such a way, and that was one of the best part of Loan Shark, seeing this friend of yours that you think is this incredibly calm person going crazy over the launch of its game. Going crazy with style, I will say. It's not like us going, screaming like monkeys every time we think about the success of Loan Shark. Rumpelstiltskin is still a gentleman. But I mean, it's been so fun to just being. And yeah, I would just add on a slightly more serious note. It's been really good to be happy together for the result of our work. I mean, we weren't close when this happened because I was on vacation, Rumpelstiltskin was on vacation, and Nicola, a round of applause for him, was managing the launch. But we just kept chatting all the time, and it was really, that camaraderie that I love that. We were already a studio, but there's nothing better to feel like a studio than being for once a winning studio. So yeah, I will close on that.
Rumpelstiltskin wasn't present for the interview, of course, but it says a lot about Nicola and Luca that when speaking on their success, they found time to shout out the third member of their team. Again, I can't express enough just how humble and down to earth all these guys are, and I personally want to give a shout out to Rumpelstiltskin also. I have yet to meet you in person, sir, but you sound like a very interesting person, and I hope to do another interview with y'all where you're there. Your art for Dark Reality was spot on, and your work and ideas for Loan Shark are fantastic. I hope to have you join us on the next one.
Next time, baby.
So I'll try and not take too long here.
You're a bit late for that!
But before closing out the video, I wanted to give my thoughts on Loan Shark as a full game. To begin with, I'll give a brief synopsis by laying out the plot. The player is a fisherman who is heavily in debt and owes a loan shark £999,999. which in dollars converted to $1,352,668.67. And you owe all of that.
This is a bummer, man.
It's something like that anyways. I'm hot garbage at math, so I'm probably off. But I know for sure, if you don't pay, well, the word loan shark isn't just a cute nickname. Basically, the player needs to fish their heart out if they ever hope to pay off their debt to the loan shark. And if you don't know what a loan shark is, feel free to check out my review of the loan shark demo, which can be found in the Free Games That Deserves Attention playlist.
Look, I made you some content. Diving into your favorite open wide.
I delve deeper into some of those themes of loan shark that I'm not going to do here. Desperate to pay off the loan shark, the player meets a one-eyed magic fish named Caseoh, who strikes up a deal with the player in order to catch a golden fish. This at first seems like an answer to the player's prayers, but Caseoh tells the player a story about a previous fisherman in the same predicament. It's a very sinister yet subtle game that gave me a jump a couple of times, as the player begins to find themselves in a surreal fairy tale of their own out there on the ocean. Plenty of questions begin to spawn in the player's mind as their situation goes from desperate to hectic. Am I being haunted? Will the loan shark keep his word? And just really, what does Caseoh want from me? The inspiration from Poe can be seen, as Studio Kurata mentioned earlier, as when I was playing Loan Shark, I was reminded of the Edgar Allan Poe story, MS Found in a Bottle, or Message Found in a Bottle. On top of the subtle horror of Poe, there's also a heavy inspiration of the old mob-style movies like Goodfellas and The Godfather. With The Godfather having been one of my pop's favorite movies of all time, it, in an odd sort of way, made me nostalgic. Once a year, he and I would sit and watch the entire trilogy in one sitting. I lost my pop in 2024, so I want to thank Studio Kurata for giving me a reason to reminisce on those good times with him. Thank you guys. The plot is fantastic. The character's very memorable. It handles well, as there's a definite upgrade in the fishing mechanics compared to the demo. They are smoother and react much more clean. The music playing on the radio is perfect for the setting, and I absolutely love the broadcast at the end. It had me chuckling so hard, because if any of you Golden Wonders have played Dark Reality, then you know Studio Kurata were channeling that level of rhetoric for the end radio broadcast. All in all, I highly enjoyed Loan Shark, and with their updates on adding multiple endings on the way, then the replay value is going to be on point, and I can't wait. I highly recommend it. I'll leave a link for it in the description below. It's $3.99 on Steam, which is a fantastic price. Plus, if you've played it, it's worth re-downloading, just so the completionist in you can get all the endings and be sedated. I asked Studio Kurata if they wanted to shout out anything before ending the interview.
Well, Nicola, I don't know if you want...
Not specifically about Dark Reality, I just want to say...
you mean Loan Shark?
Sorry, about Loan Shark or Studio Kurata. I just want to shout out Fabio, or the James Creek, which you've made a video of his game. I think it's the latest one on your channel, Shiath.
Yeah, Shiath. Yeah.
We're friends, you know. Yeah, he's also one of our ex-colleagues.
He's in your guys' credits. I saw that and I went, I know that guy.
Bruh.
I know that guy. Like, I thought about like highlighting it at the end of this video, like just stopping and being like, boom, found you, and then just speeding it back up and letting. Anyways, never continue. I'm sorry.
We're also in Shiath credits. That makes me very proud. I wanted to specifically just mention that what I really hope this will develop into is something that is sustainable for like all of us, basically. Because there's us, there's Fabio, and there's other friends that are trying to um, to 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 turn this into a sustainable like lifestyle, basically. Shiaf just came out. He made a great video about it, and I I just remember the first day of Loan Shark when we were waiting for the first reviews to come in, and we weren't like expecting anything at all. Like we didn't know what to expect actually, like how many we will get, how long it would have gone, and it's very hard to just basically just manage to try and finish something and put it out. So the only thing I want to say is just to show some love to all the indie devs you find, like to be encouraged to try games that haven't been recommended to you specifically by someone you know, but that just you manage to stumble upon. And even though they have no reviews, even though they there's not a lot of traction behind them, to just give them a shot every now and then, especially the ones that seem like a good bargain. Um, so yeah, I think Loan Shark wouldn't have made it if there weren't like dedicated players that would have tried it, like regardless of the number of reviews it had on Steam. Same thing for Dark Reality. If it wasn't for you, Chris, and for the other people that played it, even though like no one was playing it at the time, we wouldn't have had the confirmation that there was something for us to make. So yeah, just show some love to all the people around there making games, and hopefully we'll be able to like basically help each other out, even with YouTubers that make videos about these games. I'm looking forward to like share your video from on Lone Shark everywhere. So let's help each other out. Basically, that's it.
Well, thank you. That's an honor. Thank you.
Oh, cheers.
I'm so glad I could help with the Dark Reality, and I hope I I hope I get Loan Shark out there a little bit more too, and everything. Yeah. Sorry, you were gonna say something. I'm sorry.
No, don't
Oh.
worry. I mean, it's just that I completely agree with Nicola, and I think I like your channel exactly because you give a lot of space to, I would say, irrelevant games that have not been picked up by. I mean, I love the streaming, the streamers environment. It's vital to our game, but it's also very, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
It lacks a little charity. That's what
Yeah.
I want. It lacks altruism, and that's fine because it's everyone's job, and no one can. It's very difficult to afford to being constantly and steadily charitable towards other people. Now, obviously I'm not talking about giving money. I'm talking about giving space, about giving attention, about giving coverage to games that may not bring so much back to you. And I think channels like yours are really special because they do that. Now you told us you do this as a hobby, and that's wonderful because if it wasn't for people like you, there wouldn't be space for games like Dark Reality and Shiat, and we wouldn't have the success of Lone Shark if it wasn't for Dark Reality. If it wasn't for Dark Reality and what it achieved, we wouldn't have made probably Lone Shark. If Dark Reality had hit 0 users, we would probably parted ways and went back to working for some crazy people crazy person in the industry. And instead, here we are, and that's because channels like yours and others more channels. I want to say hi to Gina Games and people like her and you gave a lot of space to us, and that's wonderful. If I can close to another little small shout, I just want to say to give a little credit to Finuxe, which is
Definitely.
I want to share this because he's a youth. If there's the greatest supporter of Studio Carota is probably Finuxe, who just joined our Discord and was just so kind in taking up. He tested the game. It was the first external testers of the game, and he gave a lot of help to us in managing our Discord, because we went from 10 people, half of which was probably just bots or people trying to scam us. We went from that to like 150 people, and a lot of them had questions. I just want to mention briefly, we had, for example, a problem with Loan Shark. AMD had a problem with their most recent update, which made our game basically unplayable on most AMD-powered machines. And a lot of people had questions, and we had to address this question, but we hadn't time because we were busy. And this Finux was really helpful in us. So, it's all about really making out as indie is all about finding people, creators, users, players who just want to be kind, because it's all about kindness in the end. If we are not AAA, if it isn't for kindness, we can make it. We wouldn't run our Discord if it was for kind people helping us. We wouldn't be interviewed or have coverage space if it wasn't for people like you. And we wouldn't have the security we have now for a time if it wasn't for people being kindly interested in a game which is a little strange and it's not so popular. So yeah, I think it's all about kindness when you do indie games, and that's why I like working in this space rather than let's make some money. I mean, of course we want and we hope to make money, but it's not like I don't want to oversimplify.
You need to grow every single
year.
year.
We need to grow, yeah. We become 200 people in like 1 year. Let's start hire people randomly and then fire them 2 years later. No, we don't want that. We just want to be kind people and show some love to each other. That's all.
Awesome. That's a good business motto. Excuse me. That's a good business motto, though. There you have it, folks. What a great group of guys over there at Studio Kurata. And again, I want to thank them. If it wasn't for them asking me to review the Loan Shark demo, I don't know if I would have come back to my channel. I have a full-time job, and work has been pretty rough. It honestly looked like I was going to leave the channel behind, but they remembered me and asked me to do another review, which revitalized my passion. Thank you, Luca, Nicola, and Rumpelstiltskin. Rumpelstiltskin, one more time. You're awesome, buddy, and I hope I get to formally meet you in the future. With that, I want to thank every one of you Golden Wonders who made it this far. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if it tickle your fancy.
No, please do not tickle my fancy.
Ring my bell for notifications and sign my guest book so YouTube knows I exist. Also, join my Patreon. Now, I know that during the interview, it was mentioned that I do YouTube as a hobby, and that's true. I'll do this even if I never get a single Patreon subscriber or a dime from any of this, because it isn't about the money for me. I am working on doing some exclusive Patreon stuff, though, to make it feel like it's worth it. But I'm not going to do all these tiers and such. I'm just doing Patreon because if I can buy an extra cup of coffee or get a tank of gas to go to work, then great. But if not, I completely understand. So if any of you Golden Wonders out there want to subscribe to my Patreon, I'll never forget it or take it for granted. I love you all from my very heart and soul. I would fight any horde or foe by your side. We're all equal here. You will always be welcome in this lobby. Y'all come back now. Stay golden.
reality.